Billesley Primary is a community school with over 400 pupils attending from a mainly deprived urban area. There are over 100 pupils on the school's special educational needs register, including many disabled pupils. Following the successful admission of a disabled pupil in 1989, the school has moved from making adjustments to support individuals to changing whole school policy and practice to support all pupils, including disabled pupils.
Well, I think the whole ethos of the school is based on inclusion. It's something the governors are very keen to support, but it does inform everything the school does. And we aim, where possible, to take everyone from the vicinity. And I think it's worth saying that everyone in terms of the staff and indeed the pupils at the school are involved in this. And we get a splendid lead from the top. And Kerry, as the SENCO, does a huge amount of work. But it only works because everyone is involved. She can't do it all herself.
The amalgamation of an infant school and a junior school into the present primary allowed head teacher Jan Millington to look at staffing and training.
It was important that we had a SENCO who could be out of classroom as much as possible so that they could support everybody with whatever needs came in, because you need somebody who can go out and find out about training at the very least, and somebody who can actually work with outside agencies. You can't be an expert in every single need, but you can find out from other people, and you can try and train your staff and make sure that they actually feel supported. And I always say that if you support the staff and make sure they've got the resources, they've got the support they feel they need, they've got the backing, then actually they'll look after the child.
Another key decision was to reorganise teaching assistant hours from very short sessions into 20 and 25-hour blocks.
From that, everything sprang really, because then we started training staff appropriately. Previously, it had been a person who would support a child with special needs. Often the response was try and find a dinner supervisor who'd got some spare time, a mum who'd got some spare time, and actually we're putting our most vulnerable children with the least trained personnel. So we tried to turn that round.
Kerry was appointed as SENCO with a brief to develop a teaching and learning policy for all pupils. Central to this has been the development of accelerated learning and improved awareness of multiple intelligences. In this year's 6 science class, the teacher is using physical activities to improve thinking skills and coordination. This particularly benefits disabled pupils with learning difficulties and pupils with specific learning difficulties.
With Dean, who's visually impaired, all the teachers who've worked with him have all had a 2-day training with the SSS, the Specialist Support Service that we have in Birmingham, on visual impairment and how to handle those issues that might arise in the classroom. And that's been fed through to the assistants, and again each assistant who's worked with Dean has been able to hand that information forwards.
At Billesley, teaching assistants move around the school and do not always support the same pupil. This adjustment to timetables encourages peer support and increased independence. Effective liaison between teaching assistants and parents helps to support disabled pupils in their learning. One of the school's strategies to develop good relationships is to invite parents in for a coffee and to meet teaching assistants.
I felt it was important that I wasn't around. It was just a chance for the assistants to get to know these parents and to have a general chat about the children and how things were going, and to share some of the resources and ideas in a very, very low-key way. That's been quite successful.
A whole school adjustment at Billesley has been to make time within the school day 3 times a week for teaching assistants and staff to meet and share ideas and plan.
We've moved our assembly time, so it's at 10 past 10 till 10:30. So there's a 20-minute slot there, at least 3 days a week, where assistants and teachers can use that time for planning purposes. It is part of an ongoing issue really that we're trying to work around.
At Billesley, all pupils are involved in their own learning targets through learning logs and through their individual educational plans. As part of the termly reviews, staff ask pupils to describe how they're getting on, and pupils' views are then incorporated into their next individual education plan. Since taking on the role of SENCO, Kerry has built up good relationships with a wide range of outside agencies. One of the outside agencies that Billesley works with is the Special Schools Outreach Service. Dominic has cerebral palsy and is benefiting from this partnership.
He's had physio input. We've all along been looking at ways of making life easier for Dominic with recording skills. That's one of the main areas of difficulty that he has.
Specialist teachers can be very useful in introducing a range of reasonable adjustments. What specific adjustments has Maggie suggested for Dominic?
We've looked at giving him sloping writing boards, reducing the writing task, using the learning support assistant as a scribe, various things like that. And then recently we've been looking particularly at his ICT skills. And initially he couldn't find his way around the keyboard, so it wasn't going to be much use just giving him a laptop and saying get on with it. So we've introduced things like Keyboard Crazy Game, which is a non-technical jigsaw puzzle, basically, a mock-up of a keyboard. And Dominic had that on his IEP, and he did that every day for a term or so until he was able to be more familiar with the layout of the keyboard. Then you can move on to bringing in using a keyboard.
The Special Schools Outreach Service visits many schools. What does Maggie think is key to successful reasonable adjustments?
If you've got a head teacher with a can-do attitude, it tends to follow that the governors will be supportive, the senior management team will be supportive, and they will find ways round, and they will be offering us the solutions to the difficulties before the difficulties arise.
What does the head think has been key to making successful reasonable adjustments at Billesley?
The important thing is to make inclusion part of everything that you do consider it as you go along. Now we don't try to use the word inclusive because it's there implicit in everything that we do, and our teaching and learning for all policy covers all learners.